At the beginning of the 13th century, the Crusaders partitioned the Byzantine Empire into various states, which vied for power, but by the 1250s, the Greek Nicaeans emerged as the greatest power, taking land from the Latin Empire, Bulgarians and Epirus, but Nicaea had lost their powerful ruler, John III in 1254, and his successor, Theodore II Lascaris, died in 1258, leaving a child, John IV, as ruler. So the ruler of Epirus, Michael II, formed an alliance with the Sicilians and the Latins in Achaia, and tried to reclaim Thessalonica in 1259, but in Nicaea, Michael Palaiologos had rose through the ranks and sought to take control. He had previously been accused of trying to take the throne. Back in 1253, he led mercenaries in the service of the Seljuks, and in 1258 he returned to Nicaea just before Theodore II died, so Michael was able to seize guardianship over the young John IV, and was appointed co-emperor in 1259. He then rode out to meet the alliance against Nicaea at Pelagonia, and defeated them. A cheer was turned into a vassal, and Michael was free to move on to the Latin Empire, who now only really had control of Constantinople. However, reports vary on what happened during the siege of 1260. Some say he only brought a small army, as he had assurances that the locals would open the gates, but this did not occur, while others say he was at the head of a large army. But reinforcements arrived in the city and he panicked, hearing rumors of over a relief force, and retreated. Either way, it failed, and he signed a 1-year truce with the Latin emperor. And during this peace he signed a treaty with Genoa, who were at war with the Venetians, and the large Venetian navy could bring in supplies and reinforcements, undermining any future siege. So Michael secured a large chunk of the Genoese fleet in a future war, in exchange for tax and custom concessions. Then he sent his general Alexios Drakepolis to scout out the city with a few hundred men in 1261, when the truce had ended, and he found out that the Latins, with the help of the Venetian fleet, had left to lay siege to Kefkin Island. So on July 24th, he entered through a secret passage and opened the gates, throwing the city into panic. Baldwin II and many Latins fled on ship, and Michael entered the city. Shortly afterwards, he was crowned the new Byzantine emperor, while John IV remained in Nicaea and was later blinded. But Michael suffered some early setbacks as emperor. He and his Genoese ally went on to be defeated by the Venetians at Setaporth Sea, and a new threat emerged as Nogai Khan, a Mongol general, led 20,000 men to raid Thrace in 1265, and Michael had to give a lot of valuables, and even his own daughter, to ensure peace. And the Mongol conquest also drove many nomadic Turkic people east, who began raiding in Anatolia, plus Charles of Anjou, brother of King Louis IX of France, took over Sicily, and he formed an alliance with the exiled Baldwin II. But his first invasion attempt was thwarted when a violent storm destroyed his fleet in 1270. But Charles was also able to make alliances with Albanian chiefs, and formed the Kingdom of Albania. Yet when the papacy passed to Gregory X, Michael decided to unite the churches. At the Second Council of Leon in 1274, Michael was free from attacks from the Latins, and he expanded when he took Euboea from the Venetians. But the union of the churches angered many within his empire, and the peace provided were short-lived. This was because in 1281 Martin IV became pope, and he was loyal to Charles of Anjou and ended the union. Plus, Charles had already expanded his territory by becoming Prince of Chia in 1278, and Epirus became a vassal of his as well. And then he attacked the Byzantines, hoping to retake Constantinople for the Latins. However, a rebellion led by the Sicilian Vespers successfully ousted Charles. Before he could invade Constantinople by sea, Michael died. The empire would go on to suffer numerous civil wars, and quickly lose most of its Asian territory to the Turkic people.